Broken Consort with Emily Lau, their leader. So Emily, could you tell us a little bit about the Broken Consort?
Okay. The name, the Broken Consort, is a 17th century English term that talks about a group of people from different instrument groups that play together.
Oh, so you stole that name.
Totally.
Oh.
Not original.
I'm disappointed.
But it's catchy. And all the other early music groups always have Italian names and French names that I can't pronounce. And I thought we should have an English name because we speak English. Or Chinese. So, yes, the way it came together, I always wanted to do something that's different in the sense that the musicians own the group. I don't want to conform to a certain rep. I don't want to conform to a certain personnel even. But I wanted to have a group that makes music and try to grow with it. But then I had no idea how to do it. So slowly I met different people. I moved to Boston a couple years ago. The first person I met was Scott. We were in the basement at the Laundry School of Music and just chatting. And I knew he was really good, but I wasn't sure how good he was. Slowly he was performing in different things. I was really taken by him and very talented, but I still don't know how it would work. So, back of my mind. And I met Jessica, wonderful colleague, wonderful neighbor. We hang out all the time. I thought she was very talented, saw her do many things. I'm like, good, back of my mind. Claire and I sang past 2 years together, many times a week. Same thing, talented, back of my mind. I have no idea how to tie them together. And then the rest, I have Elise Groves and also Camila Parias in the same academic program with me in a graduate program. Very talented, want to do something, not sure how. And the very last person is our violinist who I met. Can I please tell the story of how I met him? It's really wonderful. So I always hear a hurdy-gurdy player in Harvard Square, and I thought his music was cool, but I was afraid to talk to him for a long time. And finally, when I did talk to him, we became really good friends, and we partied together. And Julian is his son. And I was always looking for a violinist, but all the violinists are really good at playing standard repertoire. But I need someone who have great ears, who I can just go, play something crazy. And they do, in any style. And one time I heard him playing at a party, just jamming and improvising, and I was extremely impressed. So kind of until really recently, I decided that we could do a medieval group that mix in many different elements, but I don't even want to be confined to that yet. I think we're really early in our career, but I would like to make music that moves people, that create atmosphere and create new sounds and sights, and that's the idea.
We were talking before about that idea of breaking the rules. Did you start out in your programs, or were you all in programs that were more narrowly focused in a certain part of the music business or the music area?
Let me see. 4 of us are in early music graduate programs. Very narrow focus.
Early, what are we talking about? What's early music? When does early music start and finish? When does it stop being early?
I would say early music starts with the beginning of music notation. So the earliest things we have on paper, which probably go back to, correct me if I'm wrong, somewhere in the 900s.
Okay.
All the way up until my personal line that I like to draw for the end of early music is somewhere around Mozart. So late 1700s.
So we include Baroque music.
We include Baroque music, definitely. So in fact, a large number of the current groups that do sort of early music, it will be more Renaissance and Baroque.
Yeah, 1750.
So 1750 is sort of like Bach's time, and we sort of like draw the line at Bach, and then once you move into Mozart, it's really classical at that point. Yeah. So
okay, so that's our parameter for your background.
But they are different.
But
you should hear their background.
They're the different ones.
They're the cool ones.
Oh. Early music is not cool?
No, we're cooler.
Oh, okay, so levels of cool. Yeah, I always thought jazz was supposed to be the definition of cool was at least...
We don't have to talk about it, though.
Oh, okay. No, do we
This
not
is
want
what
to?
it is.
Right, because that wouldn't be cool.
Yeah.
Okay. You heard it here first. Scott is going to tell us a little more about that lack of coolness that
At the
makes it cool.
Longy School of Music, I'm in the Modern American Music program, which is, a lot of times it's looked at quickly as, oh, that's the jazz program, but it's really a jazz program, sort of and a mix of 20th century classical music. So my background is primarily in jazz, and so I've gotten to be exposed to a lot of things that, maybe I'd heard about or heard little bits and pieces of, or knew about this composer or that composer, but it's much more in depth with 20th century classical music.
Hmm.
And I would like Jessica to talk about Dalcroze. I think it's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
She's bringing in a very different element.
Yeah. Obviously, it's clear we all come from Longy. We come from different places in Longy. So
Actually, we should just tell them a little bit about Longy. I guess
yeah.
Longy is a music school that has a long history, illustrious history in the greater Boston area. They're in Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of your experiences, I guess, were in Cambridge. You spoke about the Harvard Square experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you were saying about the program that you were involved with.
The program that I focused my graduate studies on was Dalcroze Eurythmics, which is a very obscure but very important approach to developing musicianship skills at any level. So I was really focused on the questions of how do we learn music, how do we teach music, how do we conceive of music, how do we experience music. And the core of that study is incorporating your body into the experience, using your kinesthetic senses, your proprioceptive senses to create a connection between your ears and your eyes and your brain so that you're able to know music inside of yourself, not as a concept that is on the page. And I just find that so fascinating. And the other major component of it is improvisation, because when you get to the point of being able to improvise in music, you know it. You have to know it. And I wanted to have that experience because I come from very traditional classical training.
Mm-hmm.
I did my undergraduate degree at Northwestern University in harp performance. So this was a big piece for me that I didn't have. And it really opened me up to be able to engage in making music in these ways that I wouldn't have previously felt comfortable doing. So,
It just sort of opened your mind to different things because you're exploring the Dalcroze Eurythmics.
yeah, I think my mind's been open to it for a while, and I've always been interested in experimenting and exploring new ways of doing music. I've always had that desire inside, but I think studying Dalcroze Eurythmics gave me the concrete tools to be able to actually do what I wanted to do, to be able to improvise with ease and to be able to pick up things quickly and hear what's going on.
So improvisation, is sort of making things up as you go kind of skill is a big part of that. So it sort of relates then to jazz and other forms of improvised music.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning something now. Some of these things I didn't, I know many people that have studied Dalcroze and never really studied much about what it is myself. I'm finding it very interesting. So, wow, you're improvising and you mentioned that it's connecting, figuring out how it connects with the body, how the body moves and that kind of thing. Is there a movement element to this? Do you learn like dance moves and things like that as part of this?
In my studies, we don't study dance per se, but we study the principles and languages of movement itself.
Isn't that where we met?
Yes, we do. We did. In fact, that is where Emily and I met. We met in this class, in this movement class, where we do in-depth studies of anatomy and of musculature, and it's taught by a dance professional. But the goal is not to become dancers, but it is to develop the body and develop a keen awareness of the body, and in a way, your body becomes your instrument.
So
Yes.
okay. So we're trying to get ourselves. I don't know if synergized is the right word, but you're trying to integrate your body movement with your music, so that you're not separating, so that one kind of turns the other on, or whatever.
That's definitely a component of it, and I think the ultimate goal of it is to, synthesize all these different elements of yourself: the mind that thinks, the ear that hears, the voice that sings, the body that does, into one piece that you don't have to think about, so that you can focus on doing the kinds of things that we are doing, so that you are prepared to be in the place that we are in, where you can engage in making music that is alive and vibrant and new and unprecedented.
On that theme, I would like to talk about one thing. I think the one thing about ensemble is we're not a gigging ensemble, which I would say the majority of early music ensemble nowadays, especially in the Boston area, are all gigging ensemble.
What does that mean?
They have a repertoire they would like to perform for a certain concert.
The set pieces.
A set pieces they would like to do.
That they've really rehearsed to death.
But then
that's
the
point.
part.
Right.
And then they engage certain people. Of course, there's a financial restriction. They come together, rehearse, for example, 9 hours. They give a concert.
Okay.
But I do not like that idea. I think while I understand why it has to be done that way, for time and financial reasons, people make magic when they're allowed to work with each other, get to know each other really well. And part of it is, I would say, I am really good friends with the vast majority of these people. Really good, close friends. And then you really know what's going on, and you can be honest. You can really give real comments instead of polite comments. Critical comments, positive feedback, and say, maybe that doesn't work for me. Let's do something else. I'd much rather have an ensemble that I created a set pieces for according to personnel, instead of having pieces that I want to do and stuff people in it, knowing that it's not a good choice. Sometimes I know how that feels. So I would say, and then the love of making music together and chamber music is the one thing that ties us together. We all want to do this.
And what's nice about this ensemble is the fact that we are able to be our own persons here. We are Emily, I am Jessica, I'm not just the harp, which I'm sure we've all had that experience. And you are definitely
mezzo.
Scott.
Sometimes I'm Jessica too. Just depends. Just depends how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. And is Jessica sometimes Scott?
On occasion.
Thank you.
On occasion.
Thank you.
Yeah,
The hair
but
helps.
there's I've enjoyed seeing you in particular, Scott. Bring what you have to bring to the table, because we all have so much to bring to the table, and
Very
in
different.
these traditional confines of classical music, nobody cares what you have to bring to the table. They care. What's important is whether or not you can do your job.
Well, really well, perfectly.
Can you beautifully recreate the work of somebody else in a specific style, so that you can continue getting paid and hired to continue doing the same thing? So at what point do we as musicians, because we're fundamentally creative people, we're all creative people as musicians, and we all want a safe environment to explore the depths of our own creativity. And in an ensemble like this, where you're sitting on a piece for a while, especially the improvisatory piece that we do with Julian and Scott and me and Emily, that's never been the same twice. The idea is that we're growing with it, we're sitting on it, we're experimenting with it until we hit a sound that we like out of it.
So, it just occurred to me that maybe the typical performer of say, early music, like you said, you pick this repertoire and you rehearse it until it's just perfect, and then you perform it. And then I guess the audience that hears it might expect it to sound just like it sounded on the CD,
Yes.
And on the stage. And in effect, that kind of music then is really similar to what we expect in popular music. In pop music,
Yes.
The artist records something, and then the audience goes to hear them, and they expect, with most artists, they expect to hear it pretty much exactly the same way they heard it on the record. So it's very confining if it doesn't allow that artist to change, whether you're an early musician or whether you're a
Any
pop
musician.
musician or whether you obviously in jazz you are allowed and you're encouraged to improvise and to create new worlds and new styles of music if you wish. Although I know that there are some frustrating parts of the jazz world that want to stay in a very specific part of the jazz world also. It can be just as confining.
Probably about 1959 is where they want to stay.
Yeah,
And that's fine. That's in any music. I mean, there are people that don't want to get past
Yeah.
classic rock. That's why they're classic rock stations. People still listen to Led Zeppelin
Right.
every day, all day, and nothing
Right.
but that. Or
right.
Pink Floyd.
And it's,
So-
but when the people who are in charge of the choices of what gets played on the radio, who gets hired to play in a concert, and all those aspects, so far as opportunity for musicians to explore and to highlight and showcase what they do, it can be very restricting because you don't have a chance to show the creative side of yourself. You're very confined, and I mean this is something that I'm very I've been performing for many years as a musician, and always kept for a long time even though I had some people like Gunther Schuller encouraging me to write music, but I kept that sort of in my pocket for a long time, that I also write original music, and I performed as a concertmaster in orchestras and made a good living and everything, and then realized that if I was really going to be true to myself, I needed to explore these other parts of myself and get back in touch with all those other parts of myself that were untapped, and as a result of being untapped, they're also undeveloped, and so they're a little immature. So in order first you have to liberate yourself, and then you can start exploring, and then you can start becoming a mature creative person.
Yes.
And a mature group. Now I hear you guys performing, and you sound really. There's finesse to your performances. There's a beauty that sounds like it's already rehearsed. You've done that like you said. You guys are together and you spend a lot of time together, and you get to know each other personalities and musically and everything.
So that is the conservatory training. That's how I feel.
So that's the discipline that helps you to
Yeah,
get there?
maybe the idea of what we do is kind of popular music, but good. We sing in tune. We sing with feelings. We understand language. We understand tonality. We follow the rules, but we break them.
Yeah.
So things make sense and they're pleasant, and we're not doing it just because we feel like it. There are many other reasons, and that's when I'm thankful, very thankful for my own background or all these people's background.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way with this, and we're looking forward to hearing you in concert on March 25th here in Easton. We're very fortunate to have such wonderful performers to join us, and we hope that your performances will help us to build more support for this kind of exploration as we move forward, and so hopefully we'll be able to hear more and more of your music, and we hope to hear you, and maybe we can buy a CD, although I know that once you buy the CD it's going to be set.
No.
But then that leaves you a chance. Okay, so what you have to put a disclaimer on your CD that the next one might have the same song, but it'll sound different.
Of course, absolutely.
I think I'm being told that we need to sort of wrap this up a little bit pretty soon. So how do we end this? I want to thank you for being here. Is there anybody have any other things that they're just itching to throw into the pot?
Itching? Anyone?
Itchy? Anybody itchy?
I am
He's itchy. Scratch it if it itches.
One thing that I hear a lot from the folks with more of a traditional background than I do is this idea of how will people think of what the music is. Like, oh, isn't it weird to mix this and that? And I think good music is good music, regardless of when it was written, by whom it was written. There's such a common thread in music. What did early people write about when they started using a stringed instrument. You know, love, betrayal. They're singer-songwriters. They have a fancy name now, but they're singer-songwriters.
All the same.
It's all the same.
It's the same emotions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to agree with you. I had a fascinating conversation at 10 o'clock last night. I turned my computer on and I pushed my Skype button to talk with a woman whose name is Chantal Harvey, who's a machinimistographer, who she creates machinima, which is working with virtual worlds online, and then she films it with professional photography. And she's creating new stuff. And she said that now she lives in Holland, in Netherlands, and her daughter grew up listening to opera. And you know, you hear different things, and you grow up on different things, and you develop these different interests, and all of it comes together in different ways. And now we're creating, and she's asked me to become the composer for her film score. So I'm real excited about that, working with somebody from the United States to Holland, and it's the same kind of creativity. This is a person who worked in industry for years, and still does to earn her daily bread, but wants desperately to do things that are really creative and artistic, not just commercial art, which has its place in advertising and in popular music, and God knows in classical music, but you know, you get to that point in your life where you've done a lot of that, and then it's time to be able to really start expressing yourself. And unfortunately, not everybody has a chance to do that, and so you have to feel really lucky that you're able to do that during your lifetime. And hopefully, if we can say something, maybe for people that don't get a chance to say things, we can be their voice in absentia. So
Thank you. That was beautiful.
yeah, well, you inspire the thoughts, and you brought this concept to us, and it matched our perfect harmony idea, because that's what we're sort of trying to create: better harmonies, better harmonies between people, better harmonies in music, better harmonies in art forms coming together, different art forms, and so it really matched what I think was your philosophy. So I think we've reached a great point, and we're really looking forward to hearing lots more from the Broken Consort. Thank you very, very much for being here, and we look forward to seeing you very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Broken Consort, a really interesting group featuring mezzo-soprano Emily Lau. Her group is a group of early music specialists, singers and a harpist, and they bring together, Emily brought together these musicians together with a wonderful mellow saxophone player. Their music is early music, and yet it's, as you can see, it's pollinated with extremely tasteful contemporary jazz licks, so it's kind of cool. This exciting new ensemble is a flexible group with a roster of early music and modern American music specialists, like the saxophonist and the wonderful violinist that you heard. They discover new sounds and sonorities, sounds, really, textures, by pairing and mixing music and exploring new ways of presenting the music and connecting the music and other artistic medium from contrasting genres. They like to bring together things that aren't ordinarily brought together in the traditional way of performing, strictly early music or strictly jazz. They like to put them together and see what comes out. Their director is an active recitalist and a chamber musician in the Boston area with obviously a special interest in early repertoire. The Perfect Harmony Concert Series, which crosses the borders between the old and the new, the far and the near, we hope encourages the evolution of art and encourages artists to explore and create and share. Our concerts are at the St. Mark's Episcopal Church in historic Northeaston, Massachusetts. St. Mark's Church is a lovely, spiritually rich, historical building possessing very sweet acoustics.
You may have noticed in the background on the television screen while we were talking to the Broken Consort members that there was a very colorful picture of a flutist, a harp player, and I think some of the shots had a violist in there. And that is from the concert that we attended on February 6th, 2011. Ernie Smith came with me to run the camera, and I went as the recording engineer to make the archival recording for the Franklin organization Live Arts. And of course we stole away with some wonderful video footage from that concert. Today I'd like to show you some footage of a piece of music that the duo that's called Two performed. The duo is Peter Bloom, flutist, and Mary Jane Rupert, harpist. On that particular day they had a guest artist, Mr. Frank Grimes. We're going to listen to a piece that features just the two of them. It was in fact written for the duo Two. And it's called Butterfly Effects. It was written in 2008. This performance that we went to was, in fact, the New England premiere, which, of course, for people that don't go to a lot of concerts, that means it was the first time that that piece had ever been performed in all of New England. It was written by a woman named Elizabeth Verco, who I met at the concert afterwards. And she gave me permission to share some of her lovely notes and some pictures that you're about to see also. The piece of music is called Butterfly Effects. I'd like to tell you a little bit about this piece. In Butterfly Effects, the flutist is asked to play 4 different instruments: the bass flute, the alto flute, the piccolo, and the concert flute, or what we might call the C flute. The titles of the 7 parts are the names of the 7 parts of this piece of music, are the names of 7 different butterflies. The piece was written for Peter Bloom and harpist Mary Jane Rupert, and it begins with a quotation from Zhuangzi. I'm not sure if I got the pronunciation right on that. My Chinese is not very good, so you'll excuse me. But he says, "Am I a human who dreamt of being a butterfly, or am I now a butterfly who dreams of being human?" The Taoist philosopher's dream illustrates, among other lessons, his sense of oneness with all living beings. Like other creatures, the butterflies are adapted to their environment in sometimes astonishing ways. The monkey puzzle, for example, has tail filaments that mimic its antennae, apparently to confuse predators, while the toxic common Jezebel warns off predators with bright coloration only on the underside of its wings, since it spends much of its time in the forest canopy. An endangered species, the tiny camera blues, were so named by Vladimir Nabokov, who was an avid lepidopterist as well as a novelist. That was hard to say. So fragile that their wings may be damaged by a heavy rainstorm, butterflies confound the odds, surviving under difficult conditions, even like the mourning cloak, wintering over as adults in icy New England. Before I attended this concert, I had no idea that some butterflies actually can survive New England winters. We can barely survive New England winters. All 7 movements are short. Some are only a minute in length. The mourning cloak for alto, flute, and harp is somber and reflective. The banded blue Pierrot, which is played on the standard flute, is short and glittering. The common Jezebel is a sultry tango for bass flute and harp that becomes increasingly chromatic and contrapuntal, requiring the harpist to do some fancy footwork. Question mark, also for bass flute, requires the flute to use beatboxing and key slap techniques that maximize the percussive qualities of the flute. Monkey puzzle, in a kind of mimicry of the confusing antennae and pseudo-antennae of the insect, flutters along to the middle of the piece and then proceeds backward to the beginning in what is known as a retrograde motion. The Kammer blues adopt some of the riffs of blues music that instrumentalists and singers use in the only movement that's written for piccolo. Psyche, a word meaning the soul in Greek, reminds us again of the Zhuangzi dream and the oneness of all living beings. So here we have Butterfly Effects, performed on February 6th, 2011.
If you've listened to this program, well, I hope you've listened, and you've enjoyed this program, and you'd like to learn more, please visit our website at www.bristolchamberorchestra, BRISTOLCHAMBERORCHESTRA.org, where you can learn more about the music that we've discussed on this program, the concerts, the educational activities of the Chamber Music Society of Easton, and you can listen to the artists who've appeared on our show. You're going to see some credits, but I'd like to personally thank the folks at ECAT, Easton Community Cable TV, especially Jason Daniels, and very especially Jessica Schumann, our program director. Thank you very much to St. Mark's Episcopal Church in North Easton for supporting the arts, providing a beautiful venue for music and the arts. And thanks to all the people who've helped out and who've contributed to help making this program happen, especially Mr. Ernie Smith, who's helping us with many details, including filming and volunteers at St. Mark's, Sandra Rowland, Jane Camden, and Karen Brooks. Thank you all so much.